There's some reaction to the government's reforms. Samantha Thomas is a public health professor at Deakin University. She researches gambling. She's my guest. Welcome to the program.
Hi, thanks for having me.
First of all, could you give us an idea, a sense of just how large of a public health issue gambling is in Australia?
Gambling is an extraordinary public health issue in Australia. It's one of our most significant public health issues. We know that this is not just about financial losses. It's also about things that link to some of our most pressing health and social issues. So we're thinking about financial distress, homelessness, relationship breakdowns, criminality, family violence, and most devastatingly, people who take their own lives because of the tactics of this industry. I've spoken to some of those people today who have lost family members, who have died by suicide as a result of gambling harm. And like me, they are very disappointed with the reforms that have been announced today by the government.
Well, yeah, there is some criticism of the reforms, but aren't they better than the status quo?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we do definitely want to see action, and this is a step in the right direction. But we don't want to see a charade. And generally, I would say that the public health experts and the lived experience experts that are looking at these measures today would say that these are small and underwhelming. They don't implement the full recommendations of the Murphy inquiry. We have to remember that that inquiry was one of the most comprehensive inquiries we have had about the online gambling industry in the world. They canvassed the views of all sorts of different stakeholders. They looked at the evidence, and Peter Murphy and her colleagues came up with what we think are the most impressive suite of public health measures in the world. And so it's unfortunate today that the government has not listened to that evidence and to those recommendations and implemented those recommendations.
One of the issues that has been raised is a national regulator. I put that to the minister just a moment ago. She said all states and territories now have to lift to do that sort of regulation. Is that fair enough?
I don't think so. You know, one of the things and one of the problems, I guess, that we have with the measures that were announced today is that they're a patchwork of responses. They are very partial in their nature. And so what they've enabled the gambling industry to do is they've given it the freedom to shift and morph their tactics. We know that this industry is one of the most high-tech, innovative, health-harming industries in the world. And by not implementing those comprehensive bans, we will see this industry not only shift its marketing practices, but also be able to start to shift its tactics. So without a national regulator who sets the rules across the country, we are just going to see the industry continue to innovate its products, and we are going to continue to be behind with keeping up with that. So again, this is why the Murphy inquiry recommended a national regulator, so we could bring all the states and territories together and have a comprehensive approach to what we know is a predatory health harming industry.
Do you think the opt-out model suggested here is workable?
I don't. And the reason why I don't is because what the government is essentially doing is putting all the responsibility back on the individual and parents and children even to navigate and negotiate the marketing that they get from this very, very well-resourced billion-dollar industry. That's not fair to me. It's particularly not fair to parents. We know that over 70% of parents are concerned about the risks posed by gambling to their children. We also know that children in our research, we've spoken to thousands of them over the last decade, want to see comprehensive bans on advertising. They recognise that they are being bombarded by these ads in multiple different environments. So the government's reforms today might look like they're taking a step forward, but in fact, they're actually just creating a lot more freedom for the industry to target young people and to continue to cause that harm.
Did you meet with the Minister, Annika Wells, during this process of consultation?
No, I didn't, and she was not available to meet with me. I met on a number of occasions with Minister Rowland when she was in the portfolio and had some very productive conversations with her. And so again, I think one of the criticisms of the government is that they have not been prepared to meet with the experts to hear the independent evidence. They may have met with people with vested interests in this area, but those of us who have been working with communities who are independently funded had really important evidence evidence to share with the Minister. Just in as example, I was in the Parliament last week. We were presenting new research that we have just conducted showing that the gambling industry is actually broadening its market to young women and are using a whole range of strategies via digital platforms such as influencers to reach this new generation of young women who are also really big fans of sport. So not listening to that expertise, not kind of getting ahead of the industry tactics, we think has been pretty disappointing from the government.
On that issue, I did ask the Minister right at the end there about influencers. She said that would be banned. Is that not good enough?
I think if she is prepared to include them in, that's really important. It doesn't exist in the suite of recommendations that she's released today. And so, again, this is perhaps just a little example of where what we've seen today may not be the full facts. The devil may actually be in the detail as well. Concerningly for me, though, was the minister's statement that she is drawing a line in the sand about this. Now, given that we know that this industry is hugely creative and that it can shift its tactics so quickly, I am really concerned that the government won't be prepared to actually start to think more broadly about what they may need to do in the future to continue to protect young Australians. I met with Peter Murphy on a number of occasions. It was very clear to me that central to this report was her real love for Australian young people and her want to protect them from the predatory tactics of this industry. I feel like the recommendations that we have seen today fail the Murphy test completely.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.